Right, Kenneth Hamilton.
Yes, sir.
A good opportunity for me to be able to now bond with you in a real positive way. We've had some opportunities where we've been able to sit and work on projects, and the idea of coming together and finding out exactly the inner you is really a pleasure for me. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Who is Kenneth Hamilton?
Kenneth Hamilton is a multifaceted individual. There's probably such depth to my interests and my experience. Um, my best modality in terms of operation is through the arts. Um, I have a creative spirit, and debut management and the opportunity for me to write and produce really gets to the core of who I really am.
The relationship of writing, as you have been so prolific at it, was it a first time passion or did you grow into it?
Actually, I started out writing a book. My first project was going to be a book, and there were so many integral parts of this book. Each chapter told a different story that I started extracting chapters out of the book and developing them into plays. And that's really how this whole thing evolved with my interest and my aptitude for writing and producing.
Being able to find those passions and deliver a message is really something that has been unique. Only Tyler Perry, as far as I know of, have been very successful at doing this. Explain the difference between you and Tyler.
I don't know that there's an awful lot of difference, honestly. My stories are based on real experiences, people who are in my life, and I know Tyler writes about people who are in his life as well and experiences that he's had along the way. And I kind of write from the same frame of reference, frankly. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of difference, except that for me, writing is really kind of cathartic in the sense that it gives me an opportunity to tell a story in a way that entertains and inspires. And I want people, every time they view one of my shows, one of my plays, I want them to leave feeling uplifted and inspired and being able to make some connection to the story that's being told. So while there's certainly an entertainment piece to it, there is also a piece to it that is really important to me, and that's one, creating opportunities for other people, and two, telling a story that people can relate to and that they feel empowered after having that experience.
You're an educator. Tell us a little bit about your experiences in that field.
I am an educator. I've been an educator for 32 years now. I started out as a teacher. I now serve as the superintendent of schools in Mount Vernon. It is truly, when you think about why we are here on earth, some people spend their whole lives wondering, why am I here? What am I supposed to devote my life to? I am convinced that my life is supposed to be devoted to helping children. And that's what I've been doing for the last 32 years.
When you find that there are a lot of disparities in education as it exists, and the type of problems that we have been having has been in terms of fitness and in terms of developing the arts, how have you significantly focused your efforts in terms of what you're doing as a private citizen and as a professional citizen towards ensuring that the arts will get a priority in education?
There are children, and particularly children who live in poverty, and there's a sociology of poverty that many people don't understand. But the arts creates a vehicle for youngsters who actually may be gifted in the arts and may not have demonstrated that giftedness through the traditional academic pathway. So the arts creates another opportunity for them to really explore their gifts. There are youngsters who are twice gifted, academically talented and gifted in the arts. But for many of our youngsters, they are able to express their giftedness through the arts, whether it's music or drama or dance, and those are the youngsters who often fall through the cracks because they don't have a vehicle. Public education has denied youngsters the opportunity in many instances to really explore their craft in the arts because it's generally the first thing that gets cut when funds are tight. And that's happening all across the nation. In my profession and in my experience, what I have done is really made the arts a priority and made sure that youngsters had the full potential to explore their opportunities in the arts, whether it's in theater or whether it's in music, to make sure that I represent a format for youngsters where they get the opportunity to truly explore their giftedness in other ways.
The evolution of your projects, this is culminated now into your own production, and you have really created a strong history in relationship to doing these types of live plays. Talk to us about the chronological differences and now what makes this significantly the one that you know is going to really represent your true interest.
My first play, when I look back over it, and I learned so much from that experience, just in terms of how to direct and how to select the best cast, and how to help people fully develop their gift on the stage. I have really evolved as a producer and as a director. I've also been able to have people who are on my team who have also evolved. So Flow is really the culmination of all of my experiences to date. It is actually the story of a young man that was once my student, and I'm able to tell his story, and I've been able to see him evolve over the years from being a young boy into a man, and what his experiences have been with his journey through exploring his own gift, and then really evolving and creating opportunities. So Debut Management was actually created as a way to create opportunities for folks who were looking to gain entryway into the entertainment industry. Because the field is so competitive, I wanted to make sure that I was creating opportunities for local talent who may not have had the opportunity because the industry is so dominated by the same well-established actors and actresses. So Debut Management and my productions have really been focused on seeking those actors and actresses who may not have had an opportunity outside of what we've been able to create. Now, as we have evolved, we've been able to work with some star names, and that's a nice caveat because we have now developed a reputation where folks are interested in working with us. But I will always maintain my focus on keeping the up-and-coming employed.
When you talk about the idea of how a relationship, the industry, does, in a sense, dictate the kind of performances that we observe, will you continue to keep your identity in terms of being able to create that message that is going to give incentive to individuals to want to do positive things?
Absolutely. My focus is really about opportunities and empowerment. I want folks to leave my plays feeling like not just that they've been entertained, but that they walk away feeling like they've been uplifted, and this is my story. And if I can survive and be triumphant over those experiences in my life that many people have not been able to survive, I want my stories to be able to offer hope where people may have been hopeless, and offer faith where they may have lacked faith.
When you talk about the surrounding of the talents that you're working with, and how it has evolved into something that is going to be a profound type of production that many people will want to view, where do you think your best creativity comes from?
My best creativity really comes from the stories that people share with me about their own experiences. And everybody's got a story. Everybody's got some experience that is worthy to be shared in a film or on stage or in music. So I like to pick my stories in a way that has broad appeal. Flow, for instance, is really reaching a market I haven't targeted before. It's reaching that younger culture, but I want to make sure I hold on to my current audience and keeping the church-based piece connected to it as well. So I'm really using Flow as an opportunity to bring two cultures together that historically have not been able to coexist.
Do you think the production will have a series?
Oh, absolutely. We have interest in moving this forward, and every story I tell, there's another story embedded in the story. So there's another story that could get plucked right out of Flow and become the next play.
In most cases, I've noticed that you have been very focused on ensuring that your parents, your mom in particular, has been a driving force behind your development and the model that you represent. How does she feel about this production?
You know, my mom is my biggest cheerleader. She's been supportive of everything I've ever done throughout my life, and I dedicate every production that I do to her because she is my inspiration. She's a woman who has has been able to be triumphant over many things that most folks have not been able to be quite as resilient through. So she is my shero, and always encouraging me to just go forward and do great things.
Can you just give us a really quick rundown on who are the artists that are part of this production?
Well, I'll be sure, who is a Grammy winner in his own right, is joining our cast. We have Al Tariq Flo Winstead, who the story is about. Al Tariq is a hip hop artist and producer in his own right. We have Vanessa Simmons, who is joining our cast. This is the first time I'm working with Vanessa. She's playing the role of Danny Rice, who is Flo's love interest in this production. Randy Richwood, who is no stranger to the stage. He's got a very interesting story and a few books of his own. We have Takeas Boston, who is joining us, and Del Harrison, who is hilarious. If you haven't seen Del Harrison, you got to find Del Harrison. She is the next up and coming comedian that is definitely on the rise. We also have Leah Joy Hilliard, who's joining our cast. Leah and I have worked together on probably about 4 productions now, maybe even 5. So I'm excited about her. We also have joining our cast is Brian Jenkins. Brian Jenkins is also an accomplished comedian. He plays the role of Brother Steve, and he gives character to Brother Steve that, although I think my characters are well developed, he brings a comedic edge to it that's not too much. I want folks to feel a sense of comedic relief in the production, but not so much that it overrides the story, and he brings the right hint of comedy to it. Tracy Jackson is joining our cast as Pastor Claire, a phenomenal actress, extremely talented vocalist. She's following Valerie Adams, who was a part of our cast before, and we were a little skeptical, wondering if Tracy would be able to bring Pastor Claire to life. And I'm telling you, you're going to be blown away when you see Tracy Jackson portray Pastor Claire. She's exceptional. And Nikki Goen is joining our cast. Young actress. This is her first time being on the stage, and she plays Candy. Also very gifted and talented young actress. So I think folks are going to really be blown away by the quality of the talent that we've been able to scout. We had more than 200 people audition for Flo, submit and want to be a part of this production. I have to give credit to my production team for narrowing it down to these 10 extraordinary cast members.
Well, certainly we know that there is a science to it. Your chemistry sounds like it's definitely going to predict that there is going to be a fascinating presentation. We're certainly happy about it, and we're going to be looking forward to being a part of it.
Well, one of the things that we try to do is create a family atmosphere. Actors and actresses are used to having a project. They do the project. When the project is done, they move on to the next. We try to maintain relationships with folks that we work with, and we connect, and not just get together for the sake of doing a production, but to also get together and support one another and other things that we're doing as well. So we really try to make sure that we have a family atmosphere. And my experience is when people believe in what you're doing, they're willing to give their all, and they make it a success.
All right, we're joined by one of your cast members, and it's really important that we give some identity to the individual that's here, although you're very well known, and it's really phenomenal that you spoke about him earlier in terms of your relationship with him as a student. Talk to us about this young man sitting next to you.
Al Tariq Winstead has been in my life since he was about 10 years old. He was a former student of mine, and I've seen him evolve and his experience with pursuing his own passion in the music industry. So when I decided to write his story, I thought it would be a great opportunity for people to understand the connection between hip hop and the church, and how the cultures can actually coexist. Now, Flo talks about the conflict between trying to find the appropriate balance between trying to walk in both worlds, and the conflict that many artists experience when they're trying to perhaps appeal to the desires or expectations of their family or their church and pursuing their own passions. And this story talks about how he was able to kind of walk with one foot in the church for a while and one foot in the hip hop culture, and ultimately having to make a choice because they did not necessarily work as we expect them to. Then there's another twist to it too, which talks about his own mother's past and how that past contributed to the choices that he ultimately makes. So He's an extraordinary young man, an accomplished music producer in his own right, and now adding acting to his repertoire is something that we're extremely proud of.
So, well, does the production have any of your original work in it?
Yes, it actually does. A lot of the original music, some of the writing, me and Ken, we did together, and I'm just amazed how it all came out, and how the vision was portrayed, and I'm very happy with the work right now, and I'm looking forward to getting back on stage.
A lot of times we notice in productions the life of an individual. This is talking about your life. Is fabricated. What kind of drama didn't really exist?
It's a little bit, you got to add a little bit and take a little bit out, but most of it is pretty much, reality, and what did happen, and some is entertainment, so you got to throw the entertainment and then the drama into, to make a paint a full picture. So that's what we tried to do, and I think we did a great job.
In the lifestyle of many of our rap artists, we can talk about Will and Queen and all of the great artists. They crossed over from being a musical entertainer into being a actor, and the transition has been very successful for them. Where do you find the magic of what you do able to give you the kind of success and identity that they have received?
Basically on experience, what I went through, and my creative juices, they continue to flow, and once me and Ken got together, and we really said, all right, we're gonna go forth with this. Like I said, painting the picture was like natural.
What's really interesting is when we started casting this, we weren't even going to consider him to play his role.
Exactly.
But after several folks auditioned for this, we could not find anyone who could really bring the story to light the way we wanted to. We'd actually considered Quincy Brown, who was Albie's son, and he wasn't available. And we finally said, well, you know what? Who better to play the role than the actual person?
The one thing that is really clear about that too is the name Flo. How did it evolve? Where did the name come from?
Flo actually came about a childhood, basically a stage name. It actually stands for Funky Lyrics on Wax, but then it changed, into the church as Father Loves Our Worship. But it's just basically about, the flow of, my creativity, the flow of my life. And it just stuck with me,
Is there a testimonial involved?
Oh, it's definitely a testimonial involved in it. Because, it's definitely a balance in the back and forth with, me in the church, and me, dealing with, the hip hop life, I had a foot in the, church and a foot in the club, so, I had to make a decision. And, I won't say my decision was the right decision, but it was decisions that I dealt with and I learned to live with.
When you think about that, and then, again, you being someone who really molded and shaped an inspiration for him as a mentor of sorts, how do you think that the idea of bringing inspiration to your set is going to really give you that impact that you're looking for?
I think when people see the drama that's associated with it and how the music complements the story, folks generally think of hip-hop music as vulgar and violent, and there's actually another piece to this, and that's what we try to portray in this, how hip-hop music does not have to denigrate women, or does not have to be about violence. It's really the music that we're producing and showing in this production really has a very spiritual connotation to it. While it appeals to a younger hip-hop culture, it recognizes the balance between that culture and the church.
Definitely.
And it's interesting because music in itself is subliminal.
Right.
And in many instances, it has been taken out of context. Do you approve of the way hip-hop has been bastardized?
Definitely, I don't approve of it because there's different genders of hip hop, and you know, a lot of hip hop nowadays been getting a bad rep, and you know, I consider myself to be in a different category than your, you know, regular commercial hip hop artists. Um, I don't, you know, perform or write to glorify, you know, different events. I basically, you can say I'm a mood artist, you know. So whatever my mood is, that's where I'm at, and you know, and I just write about, you know, what I go through and what I see, you know. And I don't try to glorify, you know, the hood or where I came from. You know, I know where I came from, you know what I mean, and you know, it's the same story in every hood. So you know, I try not to, you know, try to glorify that when I do write or do present, you know, my stuff as an artist. So you know, I try to do it a little different and just, you know, mood. You know, it's all about the mood and not, you know, glorifying, you know, what they're doing now in the commercial industry. So, you know, I try to separate myself from that.
So I grew up in the Bronx,
Mhm.
3 stories down from 371 Club. So I know hip hop.
No doubt about it.
What is hip hop to you?
Ah, hip hop to me is it's a culture. Um, I remember, you know, being young and falling in love with hip hop, you know, and around the 4th, 5th grade, listening to Eric B. and Rakim, and you know, I fell in love from there. You know, just the beats and just the way it made you feel happy. You know, at that time, that's what it was all about. You know, it was about a happy feeling and you know, speaking your mind and just, you know, like I said, with, you know, with me, how I feel about music. You know, your mood, and you know, just hip hop is just, it's a culture. It's a happy culture that just, you know, went sort of left with things, you know, as money got involved with it, you know. So, you know, with me, it's not all about the money with music. You know, it's good to get paid for what you do, but it's not really about the money. It's just about, you know, making good music so, you know, people can hear my work and understand my work.
You know, Ken, you talked about a series going on, and in terms of it having to reflect upon some of the activities that are going to be going on in the play. The thought of it having a message that is going to share with the audience of a way in which history has evolved to what exists based upon lifestyles. And because it seems as if this play will provide a way in which a number of people will be able to associate their lives with it. What do you think that kind of relationship will develop?
Well, one of the things that you will find is that the music in and of itself tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I respect about the kind of music that Al-Tariq has produced is every song tells a story. It's poetry to music. And it adds a quality to the production that absent that music, the story would not be complete. So when you think about The Devil's a Liar, for example, it talks about his experiences with being torn between his a level of consciousness about the devil trying to pull him into one place in life,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what he knows about his own spirituality pulling him in another. When he talks about big faces, he talks about the people who are in your life and maybe trying to pull you in a different direction as well. So the music in and of itself is a story.
Right.
So that complements the script in the sense that as you pay attention to the music that's infused, which has been very, very deliberate, not haphazard at all,
Mm-hmm.
and the production in and of itself, you really get a full conglomerate of the
Definitely.
connection between hip hop
Mhm.
and the church.
Definitely.
Well, I think that this is a real great team. The chemistry works very well. The flow is certainly key.
Definitely,
I mean,
definitely.
You know, that is definitely a great way to be able to introduce this message.
Mm.
And I thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share this with our audience.
Thank you. Thank
Appreciate you
you.
being
Thank you for having us. Thank you. All right.